And for the last time today, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the ESL Weekly Cup number 43. My name is Blue, joined today by Jebro, and we are here now at the Grand Finals, which is going to end up being between I Love Lunch, a team that has been around for quite some time in the scene, versus, I believe it is a new team this week, Team Too Young for Esports. So once again, Jebro, based on now what we see in terms of the builds and based on what we have in the game here, how do you envision this set going?
Well, like I said, with Bullet, no, yeah, he's still playing that build. Okay, so he's playing the Great Sword Berserker build.
That is the only build Bullet will play.
He plays.
If he played something else other than this, it would be news.
He does play Guardian, Bunker. He has played Bunker before in a couple of matches.
He doesn't like it though, as far as I understand it. He doesn't like to play Bunker.
Been because of desperation purposes, yeah. But you know, I think he's going to be very important along with Awu as well. You know, the Condi's. Ooh, let me just quickly have a look at this build. Yes, yes.
What's going on?
That's what we want to see. That's needed. He's gone Lich, Power Lich.
Ah.
Yeah. So this is good. This is going to be, if anything, you know, this is going to be the team that's going to be able to take them down. I think we need to have like a new hashtag. Hashtag, I believe, in lunch, for many reasons, because lunch is a good time of the day. And also because I kind of want them to win at the moment. And I think this is a good, you know, it's a good tactic because who can remove stability on that team?
On the red team, I don't believe off the top of my head there is really anyone that can do it. I might be forgetting a slight mechanic or two, but I don't believe there's actually anyone that can do it on command.
Don't think so. See, they're going to have trouble removing that, you know, so they're not going to be able to do that. They're not going to be able to...
The only thing that may become an issue for them is they do have quite heavy access to blinds, and if they keep consistent enough blindage going onto him, who is this, by the way, because I'm not going to say that name.
Sorry, who are you talking about?
The Necro, Caligo. Okay, we'll call him Caligo, because I don't actually... Is he called something else, or...?
We've been calling him Awu.
Okay, we'll call him Caligo, because that's his account name. So Caligo over here, once again. Again, the really only issue he's going to have to worry about in the team fights itself is going to be blinding. And if he's kind of standing in, like, say, like, again, if we have the NG running with the bomb kit, which I believe he is, smoke bomb is going to be an issue with things like the warrior over here with longbow 4. Both warriors have longbow 4. And I don't think Ellie's have access to a blind. No, I don't think they do.
See, yeah, that's the only thing. Like, if they can get up those blinds, but then they're going to have to focus on doing that and rotating their blinds as well. I'm not sure. Keep
in mind as well that will be a pretty decent amount of weakness that'll be available to be applied onto him, and sometimes people forget how like crucial weakness can be, especially against the Lich, to kind of knocking out a lot of its damage. So if they handle that situation properly, it actually won't be too bad. But it'll really come down to kind of how well they can communicate and properly rotate the things like the blinds as well as the weaknesses on that Lich to make sure he's not really able to do it. But if that isn't handled properly, Lich will just completely tear them apart in team fights, which will be very, very good going up against this. Which will be very, very good going up against these guys over here on the red side too. But anyway, opening up the map, the game has begun. Jebro, what's going on with the splits?
It's good to get Milo Cryo's he's just stopped at the close point, you know, so he's offering support now. He can go on the point, take all the damage, and Awu's done a nice job at rotating onto the side point where he potentially might be able to get all that vulnerability down on the node quite well, because he can target with those oh my god, I've just forgotten what they're called. The corruption, sorry. He can target them on the point, try and get some vulnerability up on these guys and potentially use that to get into that Lich position. But he's actually moved down onto the node now, which might have been a bit of a mistake. So he's built up all that vulnerability, and now it's actually been, you know, he's gone. He's actually gone into Lich form quite early, I think. I'm not too sure that was a good idea, but he is trying to apply pressure to Faror now, and Faror's very low on it. If he one more hit and he's going to go down.
Keep in mind, too, he popped it when he was at a very low status of health, so Lypion there is just going to eat him alive, take him out of the downstate. Not even any attempt at a res really coming in there from Milo Cry. It's a very big mistake from Caligo there, unfortunately, and now he's going to get knocked up completely out of play here, as well as wasting that very, very long Lich cooldown. Things over here at the mine, though, are going much, much better for Team I Love Lunch. Bullet Punch, along with, I believe it is Kuve over here, have managed to take control of this 2v2. They're going to almost be knocking out Jazzy, but he's at the last second here going to come out with a vengeance, as will Kaz. No, but a good save actually comes out there from Jazzy. He's going to get the banner up, and that'll get Kazir up. I don't know if Kazir will stay in this fight itself, but regardless here, if he chooses to leave it, this will still go into blue team control anyway. And at the moment, other than that, things are just locked up tight on the rest of this map. You've got Ingenium Odium. He's taken on Lord of Sora for control of the keep back over here. That may go on for quite some time. Judging off of history, just based on the matchup itself, Ingenium Odium Medium should be able to take control of this 1v1 just based on the fact that he's Hambo, and that has a little bit more on-point pressure. But Lord Asura has been very, very good at actually handling Hambo pressure for the majority of this tournament so far today. And at the same time, with that additional reinforcement coming in the form of Kazmir over there, that'll obviously throw things very much so into the favor of Too Young for Esports as well. But back over here once again at the Henge, we have a very, very large fight going on. So tell us what is happening over here, Jebro.
Yeah, I was just watching Ingenium Modium going down over in the mid as well. So Wu's gone down, Ingenium Modium's just gone down. So the blue team at the moment, Bullet, just coming out of the midpoint as well. Looks like he's going to try and nip over towards the... No, he's going to actually go over to... No, he's switched direction again. Anyway, I'm not sure where he's going because Milo's gone down, so he knows there's no point in him moving over towards the Henge at the moment. You might as well try and move over to this fight over here at mine to try and keep that 2v2. Although he is 1v1 off point at the moment versus Kazur, who's actually doing a nice job at staying on top and just planting all those grenades in the way of him trying to get into the node. He's very low HP as well, so he's got to try and stay out of all that AoE cleave that's currently coming down on the point. So he's gone into Scepter at the moment, and Kazur's doing a very good job. He put so much pressure on Bullet that he couldn't jump in there and do any of his burst damage on Drazis to actually finish him off. So some intelligent thinking from the red team. And Drazis is actually in a lot of trouble there. Some burst damage coming out to him. He's very low HP, needs to be very careful. Doesn't really have any good cooldowns left on. He is going to go down on the node. His Bullet pulls out some nice damage on him. He's just going to cleave down on that body because it tries to go for the res, not able to go in there, and they're going to keep the node. And I think this is a good counter comp actually. They're doing such a nice job at applying pressure, and the intelligence of the players and the way Bullet played that was absolutely perfect. I don't think you could have played it any better than he did just then.
And indeed, back over on mid too to check that out real quick. Lord Asura kind of popped out there in front of Milo. Milo Kreitzer did not see him coming, so with that said, that's going to stop the attempt to decap there. The rest of blue team, however, is going to be rounding back over here towards what appears to be the Henge, and indeed, Farah goes into the downstate here too, so it's looking very, very good for the blue team as they go for a slight split. Playing on those side nodes so far seems to be working extremely well for them. Another attempt to res up Farah unfortunately fails there, as they did go for the double res, but still at the end of the day, just a little bit too much clean for them to handle, and as such, it does end up getting him knocked out. They're still a little bit farther away from the cap, but at the same time, with his Lich coming into play, and with him having a much better positioning at this time on the Lich, and just in general, much better timing for it, things are going to be looking much, much better, and this Lich should be a very, very good play indeed, and it should probably guarantee them the cap, to be completely honest. They will have to be careful of something like the red team suddenly kind of making a 360 here and going for control of the mine. Keep in mind, too, that their Guardian, Bullet, is the only person over there, and he can't actually keep himself alive in outnumbered scenarios for very long at all. He's very much reliant on his cooldowns like a lot of kind of 1v1 classes are, so with that said, the second he pops those meditations, he is going to be a very, very easy target to kill. Almost as easy, I would say, like a thief or something like that to try and take down, so they do have to keep that in mind, just in general here, with how heavily they are fighting for control of Henge at the moment.
Uawu is just doing such a great job. I mean, he went into Lich form at very low HP, he gained a lot back, and when he was going to come out of it, he was still in Lich, he was very low. As soon as he came out of it, he went into Death Shroud, and he used those abilities so well. I think it's Chilling Wind inside Lich form, where you push back foes and you also get some chilling off as well, and then he started doing the damage, so they decreased the survivability of, I think it was, I can't remember which warrior it was on this point who went down at the time, but he's doing an awesome job, and he's really essential over on this point at the moment, and red team can't get him down. He's gone down a couple of times, he's got rezzed, and Ingenium has done a really nice job at trying to keep him up as well, and anyone that's coming into this node, and they're running away with the points. They've got the 2-cap, they've got 60-point lead, and this is exciting stuff. But again, he's just gone down again, not this time, Ingenium, unfortunately, and he's not sure there's going to be any support as Milo Kreitzer goes out the east point of the respawn, doesn't want to feed them 5 more points as they have currently the whole red team pretty much over on that node. Now we do see blue team have rotated extremely well to the midpoint to take advantage of that 4-man push from the red team over on the Henge, and they're going to potentially get the midpoint. Oh, low. Farrell doing a good job of getting into there as soon as possible. Did he lightning flash up there? I think
he did, yes.
Which was a good move from him. So some nice play coming out from red to try and save that middle node. There's only a couple of caps on it, so they've got to be careful. And look at him running around the side of it, just not even going off node. Very nice movement from him. The blue team's coming here in full force, and look at Awu, he's just on the side, so he's able to plant all that damage on the point. He's still got 40 seconds left until Lich Form comes up, and the red team are already falling down the lay side. Lord Asura in trouble now as well. He's in the down state. Kazar down. Lord Asura is really going to go down as well. And blue team are doing some nice control on the mid, but unfortunately with that big push, they have indeed lost the mine.
Yeah, and indeed, there, like we said, that's something you've always got to be careful of. Just watch your overcommitments to points there. If you do spend too much time or put too many people on those points, obviously, again, your opponents are going to wrap back around and decap you. That was exactly what we saw there. But to talk a little bit more overall about this game here is that, just to be honest here, the blue team is doing exactly what the red team have been doing in previous sets, but they're just doing it better here. Again, they're going for these small skirmishes, trying to split their opponents up, and then just outclassing them in small node fights. They're doing that same exact thing. That was what Too Young for Esports was doing, or Too Young to Be Esports was doing in the past 2 rounds there. But at the moment here, unfortunately, due to the lack of proper support, and as well due to this Lich just melting them down time after time, just way too much burst here for the members of the red team here to handle, we are seeing I Love Lunch just so far dominate in most of the engagements. Now, once again, that's not saying it's completely impossible for Too Young to Esports to come back. What they really have to do, though, is just make better choices on their focus targets and do a much better job of dealing with that burst, making sure, again, that they're not affected heavily by. Just lock that down, fight a little bit better, and then they, too, can kind of turn things directly around against their opponents. And with the current scores, that is still easily doable as long as they make those decisions and, as well, change that strategy up within the next, I'd say, minute or so.
Exactly. Yeah, red team are not out of this, like you stated. I mean, they need to do exactly what you said, you know. But the thing is, they haven't got enough focus on their targets at the moment. There's so much AoE cleave and that goes down on these nodes that that's how they're out sustaining people. They've not got really any direct focus damage to take people like Awu out. And with his movement and the way he's moving around the node, I mean, the fact that he didn't go into Condi is really, you know, such a good idea, because all his conditions would have just been completely cleansed in different points of this map, and they've actually gone back to a 2-cap. You know, I'm really impressed with the way he's playing and how the guys are supporting him, because he's so essential. And the same with Bullet as well. They're playing a top-notch game at the moment, and this comp, you know, this is something that really is doing such a lot of damage onto these guys. They can't at the moment. They're not dealing with it too well. Yeah, indeed. It's different. Like, you know, they've come up against completely bunkery teams with lack of damage. And that's really, you know, it's almost a lack of practice, something that they're not really coming up against. So to go back over here towards the mid fight, we actually are starting to see Too Young for Esports make some progress on trying to take back this middle node. Kuve has gone down, going to be popping Vapor Form just as he got knocked out there, but it looks like, unfortunately, they're not going to be able to save him. Both him and Milo Krite to go down, eliminating a huge amount of support from this mid fight. Should enable them to actually take back control of this middle point here over the next few seconds. They've really only got Ingenium as well as Caligo left on this point, and both of those guys will really not be lasting too much longer. So with that said, we're going to see the things flip-flop here, and now it's going to be up to red team to hold on to the control of the points they took here. And if they're not able to do that, things will just flip directly back to lunch. But again, if they take that hold, if they take that solid stance, and if they stalemate those fights, which has been their job in the past 2 sets, they will make this comeback, and they will get the opportunity to win game 1. Checking out some of the fights, we've got an Ellie on Ellie fight going on back over here at the Henge. It's Kuve taking on Farah. Staff Ellie versus DD Ellie here at the moment here. If Kuve can keep enough pressure onto Farah, he will win. But at the same time, if Farah uses his CCs properly, he can keep this stalemated for as long as he needs to. Thankfully, however, he's not really going to need to, as he does have those these reinforcements coming in, I believe, from the Warrior on the red team. Meanwhile, back at the mine as well, things are not really going to be changing there. Red team did go for a little bit of pressure, specifically one of their elementalists pushed in over here, but now that, again, it is back down to a 2v1, he is going to decide to fall back and head over towards middle instead, swapping out with Draze, and this will allow Draze, who is kind of speaking, actually, no apologies, that's Lypion, but Draze again on Hambo over there will be quite a nice addition to the fight at the Henge, and should be able to bring a little bit more control over towards the blue team. See, I'm not sure about this at the moment. The blue team coming into the point versus these 4 sustained kind of fighters. They need to be careful here. And they're actually doing a nice job at separating them, because someone has to be looking at that node to make sure no one slipped through like Awu currently has. So everyone's now chased him onto node. Now they're focusing a bit more on those targets, knowing how focused the Necro is, getting into Lich, or even getting into Death Shard, trying to apply all those vulnerability stacks as well. He's doing a nice job. They're doing a really good job at trying to keep him in that cleave. And look, they've actually got him down. Lypion coming down with that Eviscerate, I believe, to finish him off. and they're actually just going to cleave him down. No point in going for that down because none of the blue team are really around to res him or in a position to do that.
Blue team is now trying to split them up though at the moment. As you can see, they pushed in back over here towards mid. You've got two guys from blue team, Kuve and Bullet specifically pushed in. They did leave their home node open in this attempt, but again, it's going very, very well so far. Lord Asura, to be honest, probably will go into the downstate by the time these reinforcements come. But again, if we can see Casimir getting onto this point in time, he can still hold the decap. And yep, you've got Farah over here too. So it looks like things will be kept and held stable for Too Young for Esports. They definitely are going to be down a man with Lord Asura. That's quite a crucial man, to be honest there. But at the same time, they still should be able to keep things going in their favor on this cap here so far. Very close so far on the decap. But again, you've got everybody coming in and things should be all right. Blue team does have to push a little bit harder and push a little bit quicker if they want to ensure their victory here.
Yeah, I mean, the reason I keep saying how well the Necro is doing this because I like to see comps like this punished to a degree. I mean, he's doing a good job, and it's also the
bosses.
Same.
To talk kind of off, and sorry again to interrupt. Just excuse me. This is a note here too. People watching, red team, if they can still take down those bosses, they can actually make the comeback here at the moment. There has been the decap back in mid, but if they can take down those bosses, they can easily come back into this game still. Now, again, we've seen things left back down to 1v1. That's in general what both teams are going to do in this scenario. Blue team, they do have to scramble a little bit just to make sure that they hold on to their points, but at the same time, take a look here. The points, those extra 25 points did go onto the board for Too Young for Esports. They do have that advantage going now. They've got those 50 extra stat points, and then back over here too, we still have the Chieftain Unaheim up and alive, so if a red team can rally to that, if they can get that snipe, that will put them just behind. So if they can get that, and I'd say 1 or 2 more kills, there's still an opportunity, but they've got to do it in the next few seconds here.
No, sorry, Bullet was in the right place. He's waiting for it at the moment. I think he's waiting for that.
And he has a lot of spike bursts too, so it's a very dangerous thing to have in the back.
Problem is though, I think he was chilled and missed that. Oh my god, we got the cap over on the blue team. I just completely missed that. And which pushed them over. I was so focused on this boss.
Well, I mean, to be completely honest there, that was probably going to be the outcome anyway with how slow it was going. Red team was taking a little bit too long to kill it. We were already at about 490 points, so it was kind of, you know, they kind of had to kill that boss there over the next few seconds to take it anyway. And they also needed to get 1 or 2 regular kills as well, which unfortunately was very unlikely. There was the small chance there, but unfortunately they wasted too much time getting to that and trying to set it up. So in the end of the day, blue team will be taking game 1. I love lunch. Very, very close though, but again, they will actually get that first game, and that'll put them 1 victory away from taking this week's cup as well. So heading now over to Legacy. Jebro, how do you think things will go?
I think this might just be in the red team's favor, just because of the mobility really of the blue team. You know, Bullet Punch, he's not got as much. You know, he's not going to be as fast, obviously, as someone like a Thief or a Mesmer. You know, he's not going to be able to get to those points quickly enough to actually spread out the team fighting a little bit in those 2v2s that they are having a bit more success in. I'm not too sure about this, to be honest. It really depends how well those two move together. I didn't have a look at Awu's. Has he got Traveler? So he's actually got a lot of speed there, which is actually going to really help him out. So maybe, you know, I think between Ingenium and Odium and also Kuve as well, hopefully they'll be able to stay maybe on the side nodes or someone side mid, and hopefully those guys DPS wise can rotate between those points and actually get down the targets quickly on the red team, and they can just hold those caps if they can do that. But red can, you know, they can sustain on 3 points quite well. They can, but we saw them in the last games as well, how well they backed up their guys who were in those out of these situations where they're basically got 2v1s and such like that. So I don't know, actually. I think that last game was pretty close. I'm not sure I can call it exactly, but I think this is going to be red team's game.
All right.
I think. Just by a bit.
Well, we're going to have to wait and see here. While we're waiting for the ready up, we're going to explain some of the mechanics of this map for anybody that may be newer to Guild Wars 2. Opening of the map really quickly. This is on Legacy of the Faux Fire. It is a 3-point capture map, as is all Guild Wars 2 capture point maps. You have the quarry located close to the red team spawn, the waterfall located close to the blue team spawn, and you have the central node of the graveyard. Interesting note about the graveyard. It is double the size of any other capture point in the game, which leads to very, very, very long mid fights that can last, if not anywhere from 3 minutes to 4 minutes to even the entire game we have seen this point go completely uncapped for. So keep that in mind indeed. Because of that, because of how long sometimes it can take that midpoint to get capped, we often see these games shifting towards very side node oriented fights, with teams splitting up, doing 2-1-2 splits, going very heavy on the far node, going very heavy on the home node to defend against people that go very heavy on the far node. So keeping that in mind, we'll see a very side point focused game. We have been seeing very side point focused games throughout the majority of this match, but of course there is another secondary objective to consider as well, which is the Guild Lords. They spawn over here for the blue team and over here for the red team. If you manage to get into your opponent's base and kill that Lord, it gives you 150 out of the 500 total points needed to win, and if you're over 350 points, it will be an instant GG for you. But guys, as you can see here, the game is already starting, so let's take a look at these splits here. It is going to be the same splits here for the red team that we've seen in the past 2 games. We're going to see a 2-1-2, sending 2 of their guys over to far and 2 of their guys over to home. But for blue team, they're going to do something a little bit different. They did kind of a 2-1-1/1 split, with having their Guardian Bullet Punch sitting in between home, or sitting in between far, as well as the midpoint, with him kind of waiting to see which point he could actually rotate to be more assistance to. He decided that he's going to be more assistance over here to far, which in my opinion was the appropriate choice, and as such, again, it'll turn itself into a 2-1-2 split, so teams will be doing the same exact thing, and like I was just talking about, we're going to see a very side node focused game here at the start.
Yeah, I think pairing up each one of the DPS with the high burst damage guys is going to be a really, really good idea, so they can get the support they need. Look at Milo Criter just positioning himself so well off the side of that node, but I think that meteor shower was just taking him out a little bit, getting rid of that focus 5 block. But Firo now, we're in kind of, I guess, oh god, Awu's really getting some damage on him at the moment. He did use up all that Death Shroud as well, so he needs to be careful here. But Milo Criter kind of being that wall of protection around him. So they're doing a nice job at supporting him over on that waterfall fight. Having a look at the Henge now as well. It's also this off-node 1v1 fighting. Bullet is trying to apply pressure to Drazir, as Quiver is just trying to keep the point and actually just knocking out Kazur there. Just taking 1 cap left as well. If they can get 1 more to see, but look, Bullet Punch is just taken down Drazir just off node, and they're going to take him out, and Kazur's going to have to push back as they push towards him just to take him out as well, taking him down, taking 2 members of the red team down there. Good job from Quive and Bullet. Nice pressure. Bullet did a nice job at just keeping that extra pressure on Drazir there on the side of that point.
Meanwhile, back over here at the waterfall, we did see kind of the opposite happening. Red team does have the advantage over here. Lipion, as well as his assistant over here, managing to knock out Caligo not 1 but 2 times. And unfortunately, again, with him being knocked out, that is going to be quite a crucial part of the fight missing if this ever shifts towards mid. But I don't think that'll be happening anytime soon. Lipion and Faror, though, are going to take quite a bit of time to knock out Milo Criter, as again, he is a Bucket Guardian. Considering this is the waterfall point, he can make pretty heavy abuse of the LOS in this area too. So he might actually buy himself just enough time in order to get another player on this node, if they want to keep things decapped, that is, but that may not actually be the case. And actually, no, it is, as we do see once again that Caligo is going to come over here, and they will continue on with this 2v2. There has been a big shift over towards middle, though, as you can see. Kuve jumping in an attempt to save Ingenium Odium, as both teams are going to skirmish for this, but at the current time, red team does actually have quite a bit of a staging ground advantage here, just considering the numbers. It's a 3v1, and with only Bullet Punch being here, more than likely red team will actually get this cap, unless we see another tanky person coming in.
Yeah, it's not Bulletproof, not gonna get up on that midpoint, unfortunately for him, and they still get the caps. They're still getting that caps over at the quarry. Actually, we do see Kazur going over there to try and get that. So not watching that point that they currently have, which is really important in this game at the moment. It's what's giving them all the points they need, and Ingenium just gonna get over it in time enough to keep the point contested just into no one's favor at the moment, so it's going to mean these fights are really essential across the map. We do see Waterfall currently being won by Lipion on this. Shufero moving towards that midpoint now, as they've got that 1v1 engaged over on the quarry, so it's safe for them to move potentially in the middle to take out Awu, who's just gone down on node. He's going to potentially get res. Oh, so close to getting res there, literally, and that's no, I'm not gonna say what I was gonna say. He's literally so close there. Quiver going down as well, misforming back onto the point, trying to get towards Bullet Punch potentially for that res, but I don't think it's the best move for him to go for that. Needs to try and stay alive. Going for that res will put him in a lot of trouble. Milo potentially gonna come in for that res, not as well, because he needs to try and protect Bullet as he jumps off the node to try and regen and trying to save his own ass. But on the moment, we currently have a little bit of an issue on this midpoint, and it's not looking too good as Bullet Punch goes down, and I can't move anywhere else on the map because I'm like,
All right, so once again, heading back over here to the quarry, we have Kazir as well as Lord Asura trying to fight off the blue team here at the moment. Unfortunately, Kazir got hit pretty heavily, I believe, by Ingeniumodium there, so unfortunately he's been forced off the node for some time, and this will leave an open field to try and DPS down Lord Asura here, which may actually happen, and indeed it shall. He's going to go into the downstate. Kuve's coming in now to try and save and try to actually assist with this downing, and as well you've got Lypion in here too, but Lypion again with those wells on the floor, it's going to be way too much for him to handle. Lypion actually might have just spelled his own doom there by trying to go for that reds, and it appears that is going to be the case. Lich form being popped by Caligo now in an attempt to take out Lypion, and keep in mind that Kazir is over there too. We're going to see Caligo chase him. I don't think he's going to have adequate enough DPS with him being at range there, but we're going to have to wait and see. Switching our point of view over onto Kazir's point, but unfortunately Essence in between himself as well as Caligo, and for the time being he is going to be safe, but again that Lich did manage to take down one person as well as wipe up that mid fight. It's always going to be good there for the blue team, but mid, once again, like we've been talking about, it's still stalemated. I don't believe we saw it ever in a full cap scenario, so with that said, both teams have yet to actually take a 2 cap here, and with that said, we're only seeing the game differentials coming into play here because of kills, so Too Young for Esports holding about a 10-point lead here, just off of 2 to 3 kills.
Yeah, I'm trying to move around the map on the best I can at the moment. Are we really in trouble wherever he is on the map at the moment? There was a target. There we go. It's on the mid. So just have a tiny bit of leg there. Kazo has a little bit of focus on him, but with obviously the Necro on the blue team out of that fight, he's going to be a lot less. He's going to be okay. I think he'll be okay for the moment. Although Ingeniumodium has had sense that he's low on HP, just getting him down there with a hammer 4, knocking him back, able to apply that extra damage, but the banner coming out for the res on Kazir. Such a nice job there on the side of the node, and this keeps the 4 members of the red team fully up in this fight, and blue really should probably not keep engaged on this. Need to probably just stick maybe the warrior in there, try and advance around someone to the waterfall, but as you can see, Kazir did actually just nip up on top quickly to make sure that no one was running to that node, and that's what blue team need to do at the moment. I feel like they need to push towards that side of the map as they're starting to lose a couple of points here and there. They're getting Rhythm getting the kills, and he's quite stalemated at the moment. We haven't actually, there's no snowball factor at all coming in at the moment. It's quite even, but they need to maybe potentially bail out of this mid fight because it feels like if they stay here for too long, they might actually lose it.
So talking again a little bit more about actually like the team fight potential here from both sides is to be honest, a lot of it, yeah, and again, like this is just a pretty big example of that right here. A lot of the team fight potential for I Love Lunch is tied directly to their Necromancer, because again, he's just putting so much damage. We talked so much earlier about how much burst was needed to try and take down Too Young to be Esports, and as you're seeing now that that burst has been brought into play, it's a huge snowball for the blue team, and whenever they can keep him in a fight, whenever he can adequately deal that damage. So we were seeing there for quite some time that because of the fact that Caligo had been busy either on other points or because he had been busy being dead because they focused him down, that again, when he is actually out of the fights, red team can definitely skirmish very well. I would almost say better than the rest of the blue team can, but again, as soon as Caligo gets into play there, it's a very, very dangerous situation for Too Young to be Esports. So to be completely honest, if they want to try to adapt their strategy, either A, focus down Caligo the second you can, like they just did right there, or just completely avoid anywhere he is fighting at. But I think, again, they should have the adequate enough kind of coordination here in order to focus him down whenever he's appropriately in those fights.
Yeah, see, when the blue team were at mid and they actually won that, they needed to move players quicker than they did to actually make sure that they kept the quarry point, because, you know, it's all well and good dedicating all those players to that midpoint, but they need to try and watch that other node as well. So by doing what they did and winning that, they just sacrificed the oh my god, quarry, sorry. And now, you know, they're in another situation where there's 4 members of the red team over here, and they need to maybe think about rotating out rather than feeding this node with points, because someone's just gone down. Milo Kryter's gone down, so that's big, you know, big support, and Quivo's going to go down now as well. Bullet Punch needs to move out, and actually Awu's moved into Lich form currently in the moment, and I don't
very odd time to pop Lich. Yeah, the Lich was very poorly positioned there, to be completely honest. I don't know why he tried popping that there. That he just spelled his own doom with that. Yeah, that's, keep in mind, that's a very long cooldown too. That's, I believe, about a 3 to 3.5 minute cooldown, if I remember correctly. 3 minutes, I think. It's
something ridiculous like that.
So that's a pretty big cooldown to just waste right there. Not really sure why he popped that, but again, that will pretty much much guarantee red team their Kappa over there. Quarry, they will have to rotate rather quickly over here to the waterfalls. I'm sure blue team's going to try to take that back, but at the same time, that's not actually the case, because you open up the map and take a quick look here. Kuve is looking like he's going to make another attempt over here towards the Quarry. Bullet as well can come up here and actually intercept Lord Asura. So blue team's going to try to be a little bit sneaky here with this and attempt to once again sneak away this back cap and kind of just give up back over there in the waterfall. They don't actually have it, so there's really no reason for them to go so heavily onto that here in a moment, especially when they consider that everyone from the red team pretty much rotated over here. So it's actually a pretty smart move here by blue team to try and go for Quarry instead of the waterfall.
Yeah, I agree with that as well, because at the moment we'd see, looks like Ingenium's trying to get into a 1v2 situation just by distracting those two guys, and it means Pharaoh is actually going to start rotating to mid. Now, we've got to be careful with him with Milo Criter. Doesn't leave that midpoint. They don't want to lose that at the moment. It's really not good things for that to happen.
Kuve just completely went way too aggressively there. Was in that fight for far too long. Just ate up Condi after Condi and got himself knocked out. Thankfully, again, however, you keep in mind that Lord Asura was actually in the downstate during all of that, so blue team did have plenty of space to get Kuve back up, but they pretty much killed their opportunity to take down Lord Asura because of that choice there. So not too good on Kuve's end, unfortunately.
Yeah, he literally just got lucky with where he died as well, just off node again. But look, I think it's also something to do with the blue team's positioning. They're positioning well around with the people that they need to just be careful of as well. And at the moment, they have rotated Ingenium Modium back to the midpoint, and I do believe Milo Criter is back here where he needs to be, and he needs to be careful. He's quite low on HP at the moment. I don't think he's in Death Shroud. I can't get it. Yeah, he is at the moment, so it's not too bad. Not sure how well he's going to cope when he comes out of that. Needs to try and get that worm up somewhere so he can just get out of the fight. The healing coming up is very, very good for them. I saw a banner coming out. I'm not too sure.
It got Lord Asura up, if I remember seeing it correctly.
Okay, cool. So we at the moment he's down. Is he going to get res? I'm not too sure. We do see Drazzo's down as well. It's going to be a rush for the.
Look at all these Connies on the blue team here too, really hurting him at the moment. Bullet Punch is down. Caligo is down. Kuve is hurting indeed here. He does have Ether Renewal available, but I don't believe he's going to get the opportunity to get that off. He goes down now too. Milo Criter is here. He can elongate this fight for quite a long time, but unfortunately it seems that once again red team is going to take their advantage back over here, and this will allow themselves to actually hold on to this 2-cap once more. Blue team may attempt to go for the waterfall, but again, they've made 2 failed attempts at team fights now, as red team is just rotating perfectly and unfortunately just winning these fights time after time after time. Blue team very sloppy in the fights, and unfortunately that has led to this league completely being flipped around and going into the favor of Too Young to Be Esports. And with Milo Criter calling the GG, that is it, guys. We're going to see the set tied up at 1-1, and we will be going to a game 3.
Oh, they could go to 2. I want to see 350 Lord.
No.
Come on.
Doesn't happen in this, and doesn't happen in this patch too often, unless it's a panic play. I talked about this before. The Lord has completely been no one really goes for the Lord unless it's a panic play, really, anymore. It's not, it's too much of a risk. I mean, there's the risk of you not killing the Lord. There's the risk of your teammates not being able to rotate over there in time. There's the risk of your opponents coming in and properly defending it. So it's really not a reliable thing to try and do in terms of from a strategy standpoint. You might as well just play the game of Conquest, and then hey, if we get an opportunity to kill the Lord and we can guarantee that we'll get it, or if we have no other choice, then we can always just go for it. Yeah,
no, it's true. I mean, I think that would have been we're so close to, like, I don't know, if you're gonna ever go for the Lord, like 410, 415, the gate really needs to be down and you need to start moving, and they weren't close to 350, so there was no chance they were gonna do that either. But I've just got a bit of an obsession with the Lord, I think. But hey, one knows that. But we've got 1-1. Sick.
Indeed we do, which means Kylo. We are going to Kylo, yes.
So,
So again, talking pretty much the same question as the previous round, talking a little bit about Kylo here, based on what we know about these teams and based on what we've seen so far in the set. Who's taking this one?
And I did say red team would take the last one, so I'm glad I was right. I'm not sure I'm going to be able to watch it because I'm on an epic loading screen, but oh, here we go. Yeah. Line up. See, the Necro can get up to point, get out to mid quite quickly with the Flesh Worm, which is quite good. We do have the Ellies with Lightning Flash, of course, so they're going to be okay getting into the nodes quite quickly. So that's 2-2 on each side of quite some nice mobility.
The Necro, to be honest, I think might get swapped in this game. I don't think they're going to use him. No, Necro is always bad on just in general on Kylo, because it kind of gets stuck in middle. because the Necro really can't be, again, this is really, the Necro can't be in the fights, and the way that these points are arranged, really, even if he, like, especially on Power Necro too, is that, like, he's going to be placed into a very awkward position on mid, and there's not really anywhere for him to go to try and get away from that. Now, again, he can use the catwalks, but at the same time, because he's melee based, he needs quick ways to get back into the fights, and those really don't exist on the clock tower. So he would instantly be forced onto a Connie Necro, pretty much. I really don't think that Power Necro works so well on this map. But even with that in mind too, even on a Connie Necro, he needs ways to get himself, he needs ways to jump out with the Worm or with Spectral Walk, and on these side nodes, it's just straight up flat land. You have these areas up here, but they're very awkward to get up to, and they don't really serve as well as the purpose as you would imagine. So it's just straight up flat land, and there's really nowhere for him to get away from. So Necros don't really work so well on this map as they do on the previous two. So if he swaps out to another class, I would not be surprised at all.
He's actually in spectators as Necro, so we'll have to see if that happens.
He might be changing the build, like I said. He might be changing the build to Connie Necro, because I don't really think Power Necro works so well in this map. To be honest, it's kind of like, in my opinion, just off of a quick observation, I think it's kind of like the opposite, where if he plays Power Necro, he'll do fine on side nodes, because again, he'll have those quick ways to get in and out of the fights, but there's still, again, he's still at a disadvantage because he doesn't have a way to get out, but on Power Necro, that's not too crucial compared to on Connie Necro. But at the same time, on mid, he's going to have a very awkward time trying to maneuver around that point, so we'll kind of get a disadvantage there, especially if he pops Lich in mid. It's going to be a huge disadvantage him if he pops Lich on mid, because there's plenty of ways to LOS in that point.
Yeah, I think it's very dependent on how good you are.
And the Treb as well will be very annoying for him if he pops Lich.
Yeah. I mean, I think the Treb for blue, maybe if they get into trouble, is potentially going to be maybe a lifesaver in some situations, you know, including for the survivability of the opposite team. Even if they're just rinsing their dodges and whatnot, that's going to help, especially if they are leading in water attunements and whatnot, and they're trying to get some healing off on the point. And that's going to help to just, you know, put them in a situation where they can't actually do that. So I think a bit of Treb pressure here and there, just popping a shot into maybe mid on the side nodes at different points, might actually benefit them. I'm not sure they'll go for that too much, to be honest. It might just be a respawn thing when they run past it and they just take it down, to pop a shot wherever, really. But we'll have to see. We are waiting for the Necro on the blue team to try and get in his butt moving. But other than that, I think... I'm not sure, actually. I'm not sure. Who do you think? Blue, red?
I'm gonna say blue personally. Yeah, it's kind of hard to call. I'm gonna say blue personally though, because consider again, Bullet Punch. Is Bullet Punch running with Traveler out of curiosity? No, he is not. No. But again, at the same time too, he has the blink, so he can get up to the fights very quickly. Kuveh can do the same exact thing there. They do have the two Ellies. I think both of them are. Yeah, both of those guys are gonna have that mobility advantage by being able to jump into the fights. But at the same time here, Bullet Punch has that spike potential. He can roam between the side nodes, do very well there. Red team doesn't really have anyone like that. They don't really have anyone that can very quickly go in and burst someone down. So with that said, blue team gains a pretty big advantage on this map specifically, just because again, if you rotate fast enough, the momentum you can gain as long as you keep it going is absolutely killer on this map if you're rotating properly. So that will really hurt the red team if they're not taking proper advantage of positioning and just trying to stalemate those fights. But at the same time too, when you consider things like mid, they've got a Guardian, and the red team does not. They've got tanky players that can kind of stand on mid, but it really doesn't, again, at the end of the day, it really doesn't come up to stand against a full bunker Guardian. So with that said, they will be at quite a disadvantage in mid. If they're utilizing Trebuchet properly, then it'll be very good indeed, as they'll still be able to take that Guardian out, but even so, that's still another man that won't be on the field and won't be able to stalemate fights, which is kind of the main credo here on Too Young for Esports. So a lot of the things, just based on my observations, are pointing towards Too Young, is pointing towards I Love Lunch, but at the same time, I personally thought we were also going to see Lunch win the last game, so my predictions could be wrong.
I don't know. I think you made some good points there, but I think I'll just go with the red team because you said blue. That's going to be why I asked you first. But also, I think we're just having a slight problem with the Necros connection, as we do have still. I'm still having issues, lag as well, as with DDoS and everything that's going on at the moment, guys. So we do apologise that this game is being delayed slightly. He's completely out now, so maybe he's going to be logging back in. But yeah, I mean, otherwise, I I think it's going to be tight. I'm not sure how they're going to split either, really, to be honest. I mean, I think they'll do what they... At the beginning, they did stick me...
Red will probably push far, to be completely honest.
Yeah, they should do. Yeah,
because I don't think they're going to want to take a gambit on fighting in mid, so I think they're just going to go straight up. If anything, they'll do what they did last map. They'll do a 2-on-2, and they'll just keep, like, Lypion, or I would say, like, Lord Asura or someone going to mid there, just to keep it stalemated for a little bit longer until they can get the 2-cap, and then they'll just bail on it and let their opponents have it. That'll, again, as well, if Milo goes mid as well, I'm not sure if they're counting on a far push, but if they are, it may not be the best idea to send Milo to mid, just because, again, he's going to be very crucial to making sure they can withstand that extra pressure that'll come in from the red team, specifically to possibly home. So it may be a better idea to put Milo over there, but again, this is all keeping in mind that if Box is actually considering a lot of these factors too. Box may just be thinking, oh, they'll just do a normal split, so send Milo to mid and send like 2 other guys to mid too, when they'll actually get there, and if they're doing the split that I think they will over on the red side, then they'll get there, it'll be a 3v1, they'll win it, but at the same time, they'll get completely overwhelmed at their home because they would have only sent, like, I'd say, like, Kuve or someone over there.
Yeah, I mean, sorry, I'm just trying to see what people think we should be doing at the moment, because I'm not sure how long it's going to take him to get back in. He's back in! He's back in! Yes! Screw you, Lizard Squad. Screw you.
Alright guys, so once again, as soon as we do get this Necromancer back on the team, and he is, just trying to see if he's changed his build at all, he has not. So again, all of our discussion about him switching classes earlier was completely pointless, as he is going to be sticking straight up on that Power Nicker there. This will put him, in my opinion, at a slight disadvantage on mid due to mobility reasons. The wells will still be actually pretty good on mid too, keep that in mind as well, as those wells will take up the entirety of the point pretty much on middle. So that will put red team, if they do decide to pressure that, under quite a bit of pressure, but at the same time, I really don't think red team is going to fight for mid too often, and with that said, he's going to be in a much better spot to fight on those side notes. He'll still be in a bit of an awkward spot, just because fighting on side notes as a Necro on this map is a very awkward experience regardless of what build you're running, but we'll have to wait and see how well he's able to handle it. Anyway guys, though, the game is now getting started, so in about 10 seconds we will be going. It is Too Young to Be Esports taking on I Love Lunch, with the gates opening up right now. Good luck to both teams. Winner of this game will be taking this week's cup.
Here we go. Well, we're going to see a red team push now. All four men moving. Really, no one really defending Drazir, as I do think we're going to see Ingenium. I thought Bullet Punch was going to move there as well, but it looks like he's going to move to mid, which I'm not so sure is the best idea really for him to do, but he does need to equalize that 1v2, which is currently happening there. So he's going to be back on that point, and he's going to be using a lot of defense already as he's running into that node. And have a look over at the mansion as well. We have the 2v2. Also, Awu has got some pressure on him from Lypion, so not able to get on near a point at all to get any damage down on the Ferrer at all. So he's going to have a lot of trouble over here. Not sure how well he's going to do in this fight. He does, of course, have Lich form up at the moment. He has used both his wells as well, so try and get some extra damage down on that node. Doing a nice job of going underneath the kind of wooden area over there to try and get some damage off him at the moment. The 1v1 over at the windmill versus Drazir versus Ingenium. This could go on for a little bit of time unless someone does make a quite bad mistake. But we did see Lord Asura go down over on the midpoint, which is a good move from those two, Quive and Bullet Punch at the moment. I feel like Quive should have probably stayed on node rather than Bullet Punch and trying to take down someone over. Just having a look over on the mansion, actually Lypion's gone down there, and it was, I think, a lot to do with the fact that Awu did go into Lich form as well. So maybe he needs to try and take advantage of that and take out Ferrer as quickly as possible if they can, because they do have the mid cap at the moment. No one able to. Lord Asura is moving, not even moving towards the mention point at the moment to try and help out his buddy. So that support isn't coming out, and Bullet taking down as well Drazir over on the windmill. So Blue at the moment, possible free cap coming out, Blue.
Indeed we do, and I do have to apologize right now, guys. For some reason, all in-game sound, with the exception of the rain on this map, is muted, so I don't know why we have that going on, but because of that, we're not going to be having any in-game sounds beyond the very soothing rain here. But anyway, still very, very good opener here from I Love Lunch. Completely, again, it's kind of what we expected to see. I personally thought that, again, we would, and actually, no, it was pretty much what we called out here. We had Milo credit chilling back over on the home. They sent like someone like their Ellie back over towards mid to win a 1v1, which he did. And as well, they sent a lot of their higher DPS guys over towards far to keep that pressure onto them there as well. It was very good. It's pretty much completely what we expected from the red team too. But because blue team properly adjusted to that, they were really easily able to just shut them down right at the start. And because of that, even though it is a very small advantage, they do have quite a large gap here at the opener.
Yeah, this is impressive stuff from the blue team. Can I change my prediction? Is it too late?
It might be a little bit too late. I think I've got it. We have money on it now. We discussed it in the team chat. So,
okay, right. So This is an impressive push from the blue team at the moment. The way they defended their home node especially, and then advanced into mid quite quickly. Quve has gone down on that mid node now. If they can get him down, I think Milo Kreis. Oh, that knockback from the lightning achievement, such air achievement. Sorry, really good job there. Not sure that they're going to be able to get him out of Wu's in trouble.
Caligo, yeah, Caligo went in there too. Caligo taking way too much pressure onto himself, as we saw so many AoEs coming in there for the red team. To be completely honest, it was futile trying to get Quve back up there regardless. And all of this with Trev Fighter going on here as well. Big mistake there, just in general there by ESLW. They should not have gone for that res on a Quve. That's what happens there. The second you go for a res when there's far too much pressure on the corpse, you just completely get knocked out, as we saw there. Huge mistake by Lunch, and this is going to give red team the 2 cap now.
And it's the opposite team that I said would just, on the respawn, would just drop in the trip shot just casually. They could do that in that mid fight, and that really punished him. That's the benefit of the Treb in that situation. And look, Bullet for some reason is trying to res himself. I'm not sure why he was trying to do that just off notes. That's delayed him from being killed even further, which is not a good idea really for them to have. Of course, moving over towards the windmill, we do see a Wu currently going 1v1 versus Lord of Sura, but Lipion coming back in, and he's going to have to disengage from that node. He's really in a bad. He's sandwiched.
3v1 right now at the moment here too. If they decide to chase, it'll end up being 2v1. But you can see here again, him pushing on his lonesome was not the best idea whatsoever. There was no pressure on mid to counter that out, so there was no reason for any of the red team members to kind of stick there and let him have the 1v1 he had going on. It was a big mistake, and now for whatever reason here, to what we had going on at the start, where it was excellent rotations from ESLW, excellent countering out of what we assumed their opponents were going to do. Right now, however, it's just very sloppy because I'm completely saying the wrong players to the wrong points, and if this continues, we will see the red team really rocket ahead here.
It's desperation at the moment when they didn't need to be. And they've actually gone and decapped the mansion as well. So red team really going to be stonking away with that lead at the moment. 2 cap with 0 caps coming in for the blue team. They are going to secure mansion, but doing the intelligent thing, moving back to keep sustained on those points. You see Lord of Sura is still on the windmill, just making.
And right now too, look at this too. Look at just how locked down they have them. Yeah. Milo as well as Bullet are both just sitting in the courtyard outside of mid. Like, oh crap, where do we go? Is like what they're doing right now. And that is never, you never ever want to be in a situation like that. You always need to say, okay, we have one guy here, we should be able to send them over there. Right now that they have them completely stumped, it's just like that's a horrible thing. Blue team, however, as we do need to note that indeed it's being pinged on the map here at the moment, they have now jumped on the trap, and red team has not been ready for that at all here. Faro got completely knocked out. Gonna bring him right over here to Milo Kreitza. Thankfully Jaze had a banner ready to go, so they'll get him back up into play, but still really rattled the red team there, and this might be what blue team needs to swing them back into action now.
Yeah, Lord of Sura, though, he really responded well. Got the fire great sword out, just lightning flashed up onto the point, and he's taken it down. He's actually moving back to mid now. So it was going to benefit them. It didn't benefit them, unfortunately, too much in the long run. Although Drazi is down, I'm assuming. I can't see what's going on because I can't get over there at the moment. And Lipion's health is going down as well. Can't call it, mate. I can't move the camera, sorry.
Faro as well over here as we take a look at him at the moment, just barely trying to hang on, doing a nice job of getting himself out of the way, but unfortunately he is going to end up getting trapped here right now. Only 599 health. Thankfully does have the assistance coming in over here from Lord Asura, and with that said, he's going to be keeping himself up and alive for a lot longer. Really excellent job here by the members of Too Young to Be Esports. Really good job of just holding off these outnumbered fights. This is what they specialize in, and the longer they do this, the longer they hold on to their lead. So very well played by these guys. It is eventually still going to end up, actually wait, hold on there, Lord Asura got that burst. We've got a miss stomp coming off onto Caligo, but thankfully for the members of the blue team there, that stomp, their own stomp going on to Faro is going to be just a little bit quicker. So with that said, Faro is going to get knocked out. We're going to see Caligo getting back up, and red team's chances at taking back this cap are going to be slimmer and slimmer. Checking out some of the other node fights though, heading over here to the mansion very quickly. We've got Kazir going up against Kuve. Ingenium Odium is going to come in here, attempt to knock out Kazir, and will actually do so. So blue team going to save their own teammate over here, and as well they'll recapture the quarry in just a few moments. But mid is still going in full swing at the moment here, still very heavily in the favor of the blue team, with Lord Asura just getting knocked out for the next time here, and only Bullet Punch as well as Caligo being left in play. But hold on now, Lipion goes down, and with that said, or apologies, with Lipion going down here, that'll pretty much wrap things up for the blue team, and they will be taking the cap here in less than a second.
Yeah, they've really come back into that. Unfortunately, Farah couldn't get back onto the node quick enough to keep that point contested, and he's got to rotate really out of there, to be honest, because there's 4 members of the blue team here at the moment. It's really defending, and they've reversed it onto the red team now. Red team needs to regroup, think about pushing back. With both Trebs out as well, no one's really going to look for that. Maybe potentially the engineer, might go for the repair on that treb. Not too sure. Looks like he's hovering around at the moment, but at the moment, Blue just re-engaging onto mid to defend against the E1 coming in. Lipion and Dreze there, just trying to apply a tiny bit of pressure, but knowing that possibly it's not going to be the best idea in the world. But they're actually trying to focus outside Bullet Punch. So that's a very, very good idea for them to do that. Try and take him out as soon as possible. It looks like he's actually dropped out due to that pressure. And with the repaired treb at the moment, it does look like, yeah, Kazir did indeed go for that treb repair, but Bullet Punch just porting up there and putting that pressure down, which means he's out of that mid-fight, which Red might actually, you know, even if they didn't use the treb, it's a good idea because now Bullet Punch is delayed to that mid-fight. Potentially they could take advantage of that. They are still only 30 points ahead, but Blue Team do have the 2 cap, of course, so that's easily going to be coming back. So Milo at the moment, Ingenium going down as well. Wu's really low on HP and's just gone ported back up to the top of the roof there on the midpoint. They're in a bit of trouble here because Bullet Punch isn't there to offer any kind of AoE pressure on that point as well, and is looking really bad for the Blue Team at the moment on the mid.
Indeed, here once again that treb has just absolutely smited them, knocking him out of play. Red Team, excellent job here and just waiting for that appropriate opportunity. The second they had that treb available, all of them just piled onto the point, went for that heavy pressure, not giving Blue Team really any room to breathe. And this once again is going to allow them to not only come back here in mid, but take a look at the other 2 side notes as well. They managed to score decaps there. So at the moment here, if there was ever an opportunity needed here for Too Young for Esports to swing ahead in this game, this is going to be it. And keep in mind too, throughout this entire process, once again, of Lunch having a 2 cap, they never actually lost the lead. So with that said here, Red Team is now going to take a 3 cap and just rocket ahead in the overall point score. Lord Asura jumps onto the windmill there too and even keeps the 3 cap rolling there. Checking the mansion real quick just to see how things are going there. It is a 1v2. Unfortunately, Kazir probably will not be able to last too long, but if they can get some more support, there is an opportunity for them to hold on to the cap here. We will see an attempt to stop the stomp, but unfortunately is not going to come in there quickly enough, and then we finally will see a decap. But at the same time here, Red Team coming out on top so far throughout the rest of this map, and as well just in general having the better recovery after bad scenarios. It's just absolutely dominating in this game with all that in their side of the court.
Yeah, this is Red's game at the moment. For me, this is, you know, they are only 100. They can come back, but there's no significant mechanic that's going to be able to bring them back into the game that quickly. And with the 2 cap versus no cap coming in at all for the Blue at the moment, it's really hard to give them the actual game at the moment. I've got so much lag. I'm not too sure what's going on, but I'm pretty sure Wu is down over on the mansion as well, which is good. And the moving, look at Red being so offensive now. They want this over. It feels like they're just moving in on Ingenium. They're going to take him out pretty quickly.
To note there as well that Milo Kreita has actually called the GG. So with that said, it's going to be a 2-1 victory for Too Young for Esports. Again, just really having so much trouble overcoming those rotations there. And as well, with all of that happening, they definitely were doing an excellent job, though. Got to give that to I Love Lunch. They did an excellent job with their opener. It went extremely well. But then again, things just started falling apart really quickly with some what could be considered some sloppy rotations, unfortunately. Again, we saw that one time over there. We had Caligo pushing into their opponent's node when there was really no plausible reason for him to do so, and other things like that happening a lot. They really kind of gave up the 2 cap that they had. They were able to re-ascertain it, but at the same time, things just went really bad for them as they got another 2 cap back up against them. As soon as that trap was reinitialized, Red Team just took full control of the middle. So with that said, guys, we are going to be seeing Too Young for Esports winning this week's ESL Weekly Cup, and my game is bugging like crazy. For some reason, the Red Team wins text is now plastered in the middle of the screen. It is not going away.
It's not moving, is it?
Nope, it's not going away. So with that said, guys, Too Young for Esports, Lord Asura, Draze, Farar, Lipion, and Kazir are taking this week's first place pot of 2,000 gems per player. Our second place team, Ingenium, Odium, Caligo, Milo Kreita, Bullet Punch, as well as the 5th from I Love Lunch are going to be going home with 800 gems per player. And that, I believe, will end our broadcast. So be sure to follow ESL over on Facebook and Twitter. Down over in the corner of the screen, you can find the links to that, facebook.com/ESL Guild Wars 2, as well as at ESL Guild Wars 2 on Twitter. My name has been Blue. You can follow me down below over at my Twitter. Jebros, you can follow him over there as well. And Jebro, is there any other links you would like to toss out there?
Yes, youtube.com/UnityJebro and twitch.tv/JebroUnity at Jebdan. You can see it that well, and well done to Blue for while I was out for about a game or so there as well with your not so healthiness at the moment. So good job to you, and thank you guys for sticking with us as well. We appreciate it. There's not really much we can do while people are trying to be annoying and take us out of the game and take us from what we're doing. So we appreciate that you came on and kept watching and stuck with us, because that's the kind of support we need and we like. So thank you very much, guys. And don't forget about Tournament of Legends this weekend either.
And as well, guys, assuming it does happen here, we also have the Misspedia Weekly North American Cup coming up in about 3 hours. That'll be live on this channel, so if you want to check that out. Those are open signups, by the way, so if you have a North American team and you want to play for your opportunity to win 2,000 gems, just like these guys did tonight, go ahead and sign up over at battlefy.com/Misspedia. You can also find more info on that over on the PvP events subforum. There is a sticky with Misspedia events on that. We still need more teams to sign up, otherwise it won't happen, so go ahead and sign up for that cup later on today, guys. But other than that, thank you all very much for tuning in. And if you cannot join us for any other events happening throughout the week, we hope you will join us next week at the ESL Weekly Conquest Cup number 44. And just to note as well, guys, that this is actually the last ESL Weekly I'm going to be doing for quite some time, because I'm starting classes next week. And unfortunately, I do have a class that overrides with this, so I will not be doing any ESL Weeklies, at least not Weekly Conquest Cups, for quite some time. I'll still be doing the 2v2s, but won't be doing the Conquest Cups for probably at least 3 to 4 months. So thank you guys very much for all your support, and looking forward to coming back. Keep in mind, I'm still doing the 2v2s. Those are on Tuesday, though. But other than that, like I said, we'll be having some more casters coming into here. And yeah, thanks, guys, for all your support over the past few months on these weekly cups, and we hope to see it continue with whoever will be taking my spot as the regular caster here at the ESL Weekly. But other than that, though, guys, we hope you have enjoyed this cup, and we'll see you next time.